Fourth graders, cookies are my favorite. So I've been adding a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and having some fun. So let me try it. Oh my, I think I messed something up because those do not taste very good. Ugh. Well, fourth graders, my name's Mrs. Lawson. I'm so glad that you're back to read with me today. And we are going to keep reading about Max. So we are going to see how this cookie business goes for him. See if it goes better than Mrs. Lawson's cookies. So we are learning how to describe events in the story using specific details. We know we are successful when we can identify transitional words, identify specific language choice the author uses to describe sequence of events, and then use details in the text to describe an event. Man, I got stuff everywhere, fourth graders. So what would this vocabulary word be? Put cookies to the side. Yeah, enveloped. So the baby is enveloped tightly in a blanket to keep him warm. It kind of looks like envelope, doesn't it? So if he's tightly in there, what do you think it means? Yeah, wrapped up completely. Good job, fourth graders. What about this word? So it's quality. I have that sentence over here. My shoes were not good quality and they fell apart after a few weeks. Man, look at that. So these look like good quality and these not. What do you think that means? Yeah, it's a degree of excellent. It's how good is the shoe. Was it made well? Then it would be of good quality. So speaking of quality, we're going to look and see, do they use quality ingredients on their cookies? So let's get started. Eggs, Gordy called out. Check, answered Max. Flour? Check. Sugar? Check. Gordy continued to read off the list of ingredients on the back of the package of chocolate chips, while Max checked to see what was in stock in his kitchen. Baking soda, Gordy read on. No baking soda, said Max, but we've got baking powder. Good enough, said Gordy. Okay, that's everything on the list. We're all set. Gordy was just as excited as Max was about making $1 million and was anxious to start their business. He had wasted no time in getting over to Max's house. Then let's do it, said Max as he preheated the oven to 375 degrees, the way his mother always did when she baked cookies. Hey, wait a minute, interrupted Rosalie, who had been standing by watching and hoping to be asked for help. You can't use that recipe. What's the point? Anyone can bake those cookies. You need an original recipe, like Anthony Baker had. Max tucked his chin in the space between his thumb and index finger and did some heavy thinking. Rosalie's right, he said finally. We've got to change the recipe by adding some other ingredients too. May I make a suggestion? Asked Mrs. Malone, who had gotten off the phone just in time to hear that last remark. First, bake the cookies using the recipe on the back of the package. Then, once you get it perfect, you can vary it here and there and do a little experimenting. That'll take too much time, said Max. We want to get started on baking right away. He took out 2 bowls, measuring cups and spoons, and his mother's electric hand mixer. Well, Gordy began combining the flour, baking powder, and salt in one bowl. Max measured the white and brown sugar, butter, and vanilla in the other. Oops, said Gordy. I seem to have lost some flour. Max looked up from his bowl to see Gordy enveloped in a cloud of all-purpose flour. He also noticed that there was more flour on the counter and on the floor than there was in the bowl. Oh boy, so that looked like what Miss Lawson had on her face when we started. The flour went everywhere. How does his mom look? She look happy? Not really. That's okay, said Max. Just add some more. I don't know how much I spilled. Guess, said Max. What's the difference? It's an original recipe anyway. I think I'd better leave, said Mrs. Malone, touching her hand to her forehead and hurrying out of the kitchen. What now? Asked Gordy. It's time to add our original ingredients, said Max. He opened up the refrigerator and discovered a jar of honey. He held it up for Gordy to see. Like honey, for instance. Honey is good, said Gordy. It's a quality ingredient. My father says we should use only quality ingredients in our cookies. People appreciate quality in a product and won't settle for less. Yogurt is quality, came a voice that could no longer keep quiet. From where she was sitting on a stool in a corner of the kitchen, Rosalie began to throw out suggestions. Cinnamon is quality, so are nutmeg and cloves and ginger. I was getting to that, said Max. And add more brown sugar. It gives the cookies a rich golden appearance. Max added cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, ginger, and an extra cup of brown sugar. I think that's enough original ingredients. He picked up the mixer, positioned the beater in the bowl, and pushed the switch to low. So what details explain why the boys weren't successful? So it doesn't look like their cookies are going to be as good as Mrs. Lawson's. We got to figure out why. So, hey, Max called above the noise of the mixer. There's something wrong here. It's not beating right. You forgot the eggs, Rosalie shouted to him. Oh, right. Max turned off the mixer and added 2 eggs according to the recipe, and 1 more because of all the extra ingredients. He started up the mixer again on high. All the quality ingredients shot up in the air and splattered all over the counter and all over Max. He set the speed to medium and tried again. Everything blended together smoothly. He gradually added Gordy's flour mixture. This is easy enough, said Max as he and Gordy dropped spoonfuls of the mixture onto 2 ungreased cookie sheets. They placed the cookies in the oven and peered through the window of the oven door to watch them bake. Rosalie licked the batter from the bowl. Oops, said Gordy. I think there's something seriously wrong with these chocolate chip cookies. What? Asked Max. We forgot the chocolate chips. Max slapped his forehead. I can't believe it. We forgot the most important ingredient. Oh well, said Gordy. This will be our practice batch. Rosalie pushed Max and Gordy aside so she could look through the window. I think you'll need a lot of practice. The cookies aren't rising. They're flat, like pancakes. 2 very large pancakes, said Max as he watched the batter run together. So let's pause here. Why do we think these cookies are having some problems? What do you guys think? Okay, so it's not on this page, so I'm going to step it back for a second. I feel like the first mistake came around here. What did they say about this? Baking soda is important. And they're just like, no baking soda. What did they put in instead? They put in baking powder, so that's one thing that could have made those cookies a little bad. What's another thing that they changed? We go on here. So, yeah, down here it says, I seem to have lost a lot of flour. Max looked up from his bowl to see Gordy enveloped in that cloud of flour, right? And he goes, that's okay, just add some more. And he goes, well, I don't know how much I spilled. Guess, what's the difference? So do you think it matters how much flour you put into cookies? Yeah, it does. It makes a huge difference. So there's another thing that they changed. And then over here when he was mixing it, right here, you forgot the eggs. Oh, right. How many eggs did he need? He said he added 2 eggs, so that's what the recipe called for. And then, oh, I'm just going to add 1 more. So he added an extra egg too. So they're kind of changing a lot of different things at once. So that could probably be why those did not work out. When the cookie pancakes began turning brown around the edges, Max took the cookie sheet out of the oven. We'd better try again. Only this time, oh, and I forgot one important thing. What else did they forget in the chocolate chip cookies? The chocolate chips. So that was a big deal too. We better try again. Only this time we'll double the recipe. And we'll use the recipe on the back of the package. We've wasted too much time already. While Rosalie was nibbling on the practice cookies, Max and Gordy combined all the ingredients in 2 larger bowls. This time they remembered to add the chocolate chips. They took out extra baking pans from the cabinet and dropped spoonfuls of batter onto them. These should work, said Max, placing the pans in the oven. Now let's figure out how much to sell them for. He took a pencil from the drawer and a pad of paper that said, "From the desk of Max Malone." Then he and Gordy sat down at the kitchen table. "All right," said Max as he doodled on the pad. "How should we sell them? By the cookie or by the pound?" "The shops in the mall sell them by the pound," Rosalie offered. Semi-sweet chocolate chips with macadamia nuts. I could taste them now. "I like the white chocolate with macadamia nuts," said Gordy. "Come on, you guys," said Max. "You're wasting time." The doorbell rang. It was Austin Healy from across the street. He was just 6 years old and didn't even care that his father had named him after a car. "Something smells good in here," said Austin, sniffing the air. "It's our cookies," said Max. "We're going into the cookie business. We're going to make $1 million. All right, so what details explain why both batches of cookies failed? Oh no, so we just figured out that these cookies are gonna fail too. We've got to figure out why. "Can I go into business with you?" Austin asked. "I'd like to make $1 million too." "You're too young," said Max. "This is a real business. We're not just playing. Maybe when you're older." "Are you going into the pancake business too?" Austin asked, glancing at Rosalie, who was eating the cookie pancakes. "Oh, that," said Max. "That was just our practice batch." "I think you've got 2 practice batches," said Rosalie. "Your cookies are burning." Max and Gordy made a dash for the oven. "Oh no," said Max as he began taking out the pans. "They're ruined." Instead of being golden brown, the cookies were a very dark brown with black around the edges. "I guess you'll have to try again," said Austin. "We've already tried twice," said Gordy. "I don't think I can handle a 3rd time." "We're all out of ingredients anyway," said Max. He slumped into his chair. He wondered if Anthony Baker had all this trouble. "I think," said Austin as he held himself to a piece of Rosalie's cookie pancakes, "I think you should go into another business. Do something you know how to do." He helped himself to a second piece and walked out the door. So, what explains why both batches of cookies failed? What do you guys think? Yes, on the second batch of cookies, what could they have done to save them from burning? What do most people use? A timer. So they should have taken the time to set a timer. And then in the first batch, they were in such a rush that they kept messing with it. So they should have just taken the time to make a normal batch. Because we don't have those pages. What did his mom say? Do any of you remember? What was her advice? Let me find. Oh, we do have those pages. "May I make a suggestion?" said Mrs. Malone, who had gotten off the phone. "First, bake the cookies using the recipe on the back of the package. Then, once you get it perfect, you can vary it here and there and do some experimenting." So they should have listened to his mom's advice. That would have really helped them. All right, let's look at what we're doing today. So events in a story happen in a certain sequence, or they happen in a certain order. They or the author uses transition words to connect these different ideas. So some examples of signal words are first, second, next, then, finally, before, and after. So let's look at this little bit of the story and see, can you find any of these transition words? So if you see any, give me the crazy hands and we'll see if we can find them. Gordy continued to read off the list of ingredients on the back of the package of chocolate chips, while Max checked to see what was in stock in his kitchen. So what did you guys notice there? Yeah, continued. So he was doing it at the same time as something else while Max did something. So it's telling us these are happening at the same time because those signal words helped us. Now, what about on this page? So I want you to take some time here and see if you can find some of those signal words. So, "Hey, wait a minute," interrupted Rosalie, who had been standing by watching and hoping to be asked for help. "You can't use that recipe. What's the point? Anyone can make those cookies. You need an original recipe like Anthony Baker had." Max tucked his chin in the space between his thumb and index finger and did some heavy thinking. Rosalie is right, he said. Finally, there's one of them. So it was after a little bit of time he finally said something. We've got to change the recipe by adding some other ingredients too. May I make a suggestion? Asked Mrs. Malone, who had gotten off the phone just in time to hear the last remark. So let's look. So it says first, bake the cookies. So she's telling them this is the order to do it in. Then once you get it perfect, you can vary it here and there. And then down here it says, while Gordy began combining the flour, baking powder, and salt in one bowl, Max measured the other things. So these are happening at the same time. Then over here it also says interrupted. So those are, again, two things happening at once, and Rosalie is interrupting. So good job with the language analysis, guys. Now you are on for your reading response. So what original ingredients did Max and Gordy add to their cookies to make them special? So list a few of those items that they added. Then, how might their method of choosing original ingredients have contributed to their failure? So did adding those extra ingredients make those cookies not turn out? Was that part of it? How does that have to do with the cookies failing? Thank you so much for coming today, guys, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.